Rio Ferdinand,
Рио Фердинанд второй матч подряд забивает.
one of the greatest defenders in Premier League history, was asked in an interview, who was the toughest striker you ever faced? Without hesitation, Didier Drogba. Nemanja Vidic, the man they called the Warrior, got sent off 3 times against one player, the same player. Jamie Carragher admitted, "I used to have nightmares about playing against him." This is a player who made grown men, legends of the game, admit they were scared. But here's what nobody tells you. Didier Drogba wasn't the most talented striker of his generation. He wasn't the fastest. He didn't score the most goals in a single season. So why were defenders terrified of him? I'm going to show you how Drogba became the most complete nightmare striker in football history. Not through goals alone, but through something much more terrifying: psychological warfare combined with physical dominance. By the end of this video, you'll understand why defenders still wake up in cold sweats thinking about the number 11 in blue. This is the story of Didier Drogba. Let me tell you something most people don't know about Drogba. At age 21, he was playing in the 5th division of French football. The 5th division. Semi-professional, working side jobs, barely making rent. Most strikers at 21 are already in top leagues, already making headlines. Drogba was unknown, but here's where the story gets interesting. Between ages 21 and 24, something changed. He moved to Le Mans, then Guingamp, then Marseille. Each step up, he got bigger, stronger, more determined. By the time Chelsea paid £24 million for him in 2004, he had developed something rare, a chip on his shoulder the size of a mountain. Jose Mourinho, one of the greatest tactical minds in football, saw something in Drogba that others didn't. Not just a striker, a weapon. Mourinho told him, "I don't just want you to score. I want you to terrorize. I want defenders to be exhausted before the match even starts." And that's exactly what Drogba became. Let's talk about what defenders actually faced. Height, 6 feet 2 inches, 188 centimeters. Tall enough to dominate aerially. Weight, 200 pounds, 91 kilograms. Built like a heavyweight boxer. Speed, fast enough to burn most center backs over 20 yards. Strength, could hold off 2 defenders simultaneously. But physical attributes alone don't make you a nightmare. It's how you use them. Here's what made Drogba different from every other striker. Most strikers are one-dimensional. Speed merchants, rely on pace. Target men, only good in the air. Poachers, just finish chances. Drogba had every dimension. Premier League defenders are strong, but Drogba had something else. A low center of gravity despite his height. He was impossible to move. Rio Ferdinand said, "You'd think you had position on him, and suddenly you're on your backside wondering what happened." Drogba scored 36 headed goals for Chelsea, but it wasn't just the number, it was when he scored them. Big games, finals, moments when you needed a goal. But here's the secret. Drogba didn't just out-jump defenders. He attacked the ball earlier than they expected. Watch his timing. While defenders are still calculating their jump, Drogba is already in the air. By the time they react, he's already made contact. People forget, Drogba had a 70% conversion rate in big finals. Let that sink in. 70%. 2007 FA Cup final versus Manchester United, goal 2009, FA Cup final versus Everton, goal 2010, FA Cup final versus Portsmouth, goal, winning goal, 2012 Champions League final versus Bayern Munich, goal, equalizer plus winning penalty. You don't get that record by accident. You get it by being absolutely ruthless when it matters most. And here's where Drogba became truly terrifying. He didn't just beat you physically, he broke you mentally. Watch his body language in matches. He's constantly staring down defenders, celebrating aggressively, demanding the ball with authority, making defenders feel every physical battle. Carragher admitted, "Before the game even started, you knew you were in for a war." He made you think about him the entire week before. That's psychological warfare. Let's talk about the greatest defenders of the Premier League era, and how Drogba haunted every single one of them. Vidic was a machine, feared across Europe, aggressive, strong, ruthless. Against Drogba, he was sent off 3 times. Not once, not twice, 3 times. 2007, sent off against Chelsea. 2008, sent off against Chelsea. 2011, sent off against Chelsea. Sir Alex Ferguson, who never admitted weakness, eventually stopped playing Vidic against Chelsea. That's how bad it was. Drogba didn't just beat him, he got inside his head. Rio was different from Vidic. He was elegant, intelligent, quick. He used positioning and reading of the game. Drogba didn't care. Ferdinand would have perfect position. Drogba would just muscle through him like he wasn't there. Ferdinand later said, with other strikers, you could predict their move. With Drogba, he had 5 different options, and he'd execute all 5 at once. Carragher was obsessed with preparation. He studied opponents for hours, knew their tendencies, their weak foot, their movement patterns. Against Drogba, none of it mattered. In his autobiography, Carragher wrote, "I'd rather face any striker in the world twice than face Drogba once." Think about that. A defender admitting he couldn't handle someone. Let me tell you about one night that sums up the Drogba nightmare perfectly. Chelsea versus Barcelona. Camp Nou, second leg. Chelsea is down 2-0 from the first leg. Barcelona, the greatest team of a generation, is at home. They have Puyol and Piqué, world-class defenders. Drogba destroys them. Ball comes in, Drogba, with his back to goal, flicks it over Puyol's head without looking, spins around him, and smashes it into the net. Puyol, a player who had faced Cristiano Ronaldo, Zlatan Ibrahimovic, Samuel Eto'o, looked helpless. That goal sent Chelsea to the Champions League final, where Drogba would score the equalizer and the winning penalty. This is what nightmares are made of. Here's the thing about being a nightmare. You have to show up when everyone's watching. Drogba didn't just perform, he owned the biggest stages. In cup finals for Chelsea, 10 goals in 10 finals. Never lost a final where he scored 4 FA Cup titles, 3 League Cup titles, 1 Champions League against the Big Four. Arsenal, Liverpool, Manchester United, 13 goals versus Arsenal, 14 goals versus. Liverpool, 9 goals versus. Manchester United. But let me tell you about the moment that defined his legacy. Champions League final, Chelsea versus Bayern Munich, in Munich, at Bayern's home stadium. 88th minute, Chelsea is losing 1-0. This is it. The dream is over. Corner kick comes in. Drogba rises above everyone and heads it into the net. Bayern Munich fans go silent. Chelsea fans erupt. The game goes to extra time, then penalties. Who takes the final penalty? The one that wins Chelsea their first Champions League? Didier Drogba. He doesn't just score it. He sends the goalkeeper the wrong way and places it with absolute certainty. Then he rips off his shirt and screams into the Munich night. After that final, Bayern defender Jerome Boateng was asked, what was it like marking Drogba? His response, it was like fighting a lion. You know you're going to get hurt. You just hope you survive. That's what a nightmare feels like. Drogba retired from top-level football in 2018, but his presence still haunts defenders who faced him. Today, we have incredible strikers. Haaland, insane goal-scoring machine Lewandowski, clinical finisher. Benzema, elegant and intelligent, but none of them are complete the way Drogba was. Haaland doesn't have the hold-up play. Lewandowski doesn't have the physical dominance. Benzema doesn't have the intimidation factor. Drogba was all of it in one player. That's the legacy. Not just the goals, not just the trophies, the fear. Didier Drogba at Chelsea, 164 goals in 381 appearances, 4 Premier League titles, 4 FA Cups, 3 League Cups, 1 Champions League Premier League, Golden Boot, 2006 to 2007 and 2009 to 2010. But you know what stat matters most? In 15 years of facing the best defenders in the world, not a single one of them ever figured him out. So why was Didier Drogba the striker that gave the best defenders nightmares? Because he didn't just beat you once. He beat you in every possible way. Physically, he overpowered you. Mentally, he intimidated you. Tactically, he outsmarted you. Emotionally, he broke you in the biggest moments. And when the game was on the line, when everything mattered, he delivered. Rio Ferdinand, Nemanja Vidic, Jamie Carragher, Carles Puyol, legends who faced the greatest strikers in history. And every single one of them still remembers the nights they faced Drogba. Some players make you respect them, some players make you fear them. Didier Drogba made you do both. And that's why even now, years after his retirement, defenders still have nightmares about the number 11 in blue.